The Niners have monitored everything, including Lamar Jackson.
You're not doing your job if you don't look into things. You know, what's your motivation? And while those players, there's more than just Lamar.
This is actually insane. It makes a lot of sense, but I will admit, in the very beginning of the video, to me it's a little far-fetched. But the reason I'm making a video on this is there's a lot of connecting dots to this storyline that just would make sense in this particular scenario, including patterns of the San Francisco 49ers in the past. And in the event that it does happen, I would like to get this video out a day early, just so I could say that my theory was proven correct. But I've gotten a decent amount of my theories wrong. So before we get to the content, now that Aaron Rodgers got traded, we're announcing multiple cash prize giveaway winners to my Twitter followers that I have my notifications on. And we're also going to do an NFL draft live stream here tomorrow. So make sure you're subscribed and have your notifications on here for that. Now that we get all that out of the way, work! Some of the green slips you guys have been sending me is crazy. Like $1,250 off of a $250 slip, or $1,500 off of a $150 power play. We've been making bank off of our basketball picks, bro. March Madness was a huge success, and believe me, we're about to ramp it up for the NBA playoffs. All you have to do is download Prize Picks, use my promo code Mikerophone, and they'll match your first deposit up to $100 instantly. After that, just follow me on Instagram. I post all of my picks onto my Instagram story for free, and we can start making money off of these picks together. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? The interviews that you see in this particular video are going to be very important because there's a pattern here between John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan and how ambiguous they typically are about their potential roster transactions. I mean, go all the way back to the 2021 NFL draft when they gave up 2 first-round picks to trade up from the number 12 pick to the number 3 pick with the Miami Dolphins so they could select a quarterback. And this quarterback was supposed to be their quarterback of the future.
What was the thought process on going there instead of Ohio State? Why not go to BYU or to North Dakota State?
We have people at all the spots. A lot of people we trust and people we meet with here over the next month. I normally don't like to go to them a bunch unless I feel unless I have to for some reason. But I also have been kind of grown up in the idea that you don't like to go everywhere and show people things. And when you're sitting at 12 and stuff, I don't want to go to a bunch of quarterback pro days and things like that.
I remember this entire offseason being dominated up until the NFL draft with potential rumors of who the San Francisco 49ers would select with the 3rd overall pick, because the number 1 overall pick was enshrined as Trevor Lawrence. The number 2 pick looked like it was going to be Zach Wilson, but at the number 3 pick, you could have went a myriad of directions. Mac Jones had the highest floor out of all the quarterbacks in the NFL. He had ridiculously fast processing speed coming out of Alabama, and Kyle Shanahan was on record saying he liked him. Justin Fields was probably the most talented player on the draft board out of all those quarterbacks, but I guess since he came out of Ohio State University, he's cursed, maybe? And then there was Trey Lance, coming out of a school that is known for producing high-quality quarterback talent, who was the biggest boomer bust player in the NFL draft, who kind of resembled Patrick Mahomes in the way he wears his headband and I guess his hairstyle, kind of. They both have curly hair. So I'm assuming what the 49ers thought they had on their hands was a player that could potentially sit behind Jimmy Garoppolo, whose game kind of mirrored Alex Smith, minus the scrambling ability, in the sense that he was a professional quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers that is a remarkable game manager, but isn't necessarily a quarterback that could win you games with heroic moments, as you saw in his only Super Bowl appearance for the San Francisco 49ers. So the philosophy made a lot of sense. Give up multiple first-round picks, move to the number 3 overall pick in the NFL draft, and select Trey Lance. Have Trey Lance sit behind Jimmy Garoppolo for a season. Jimmy Garoppolo is a consummate professional. He sat behind Tom Brady and learned how he played the game of football. So maybe while Trey Lance is sitting down for a season, first of all, the San Francisco 49ers media team get some cool videos of Trey Lance making some epic throws, but most importantly, Trey Lance will have the ability to learn Kyle Shanahan's offense offense and also work on any mechanical issues or accuracy issues that could potentially hinder him in the NFL. That made a lot of sense, but the beauty of the NFL is nothing is guaranteed and there's a lot of volatility. If there's a situation that no one ever saw coming, is what ended up happening to the San Francisco 49ers quarterback situation. Well, what would happen next is very shocking. Trey Lance would finally have his opportunity to play for the San Francisco 49ers. In week 1, he performed abysmally, but he also played in the rain, so I'm not necessarily going to judge him. And then in week 2, he would get injured the entire season. And there goes another year of Trey Lance's rookie scale contract. You don't necessarily know what kind of player he is. Jimmy Garoppolo would take the reins, and Brock Purdy would then become a hero, like all of us predicted in the beginning of the season last season. Now, here's my personal theory on Brock Purdy, and I could be wrong, and I mean no disrespect to Brock Purdy. I feel like once tape on Brock Purdy comes out, I feel like there's a chance he won't be as successful. And I could be wrong. I've been wrong before, but that's my gut feeling about this situation. And I feel like the San Francisco 49ers would more likely lean into Trey Lance and his development over Brock Purdy. I personally predict Brock Purdy having a Nick Foles-like career, which is pretty freaking awesome. I mean, he's going to make more money than I could dream of. He's going to be an awesome guy to have in the locker room. He probably will be able to step up when you need him to. But again, this is just based off of a super small sample size. I'm assuming a lot of his success came from the fact that a lot of teams didn't have tape on him. And Kyle Shanahan has a history of making magic with quarterbacks that most other head coaches won't be able to make magic with. Unfortunately, Brock Purdy, of course, would get injured in the NFC Championship. And now there's a huge question about what the San Francisco 49ers quarterback situation is going to look like going into the NFL draft. Well, here's where it gets a little strange. A couple of days ago, we made a video on how the San Francisco 49ers were accepting calls on Trey Lance. So if you guys missed that video, this is coming to us from Ian Rappaport. Sources: the 49ers have received inquiries from several teams looking into a potential trade for former number 3 pick quarterback Trey Lance. The conversations have been the result of San Francisco fielding the calls, not making them, with teams aware that Brock Purdy is likely the future starter. I know San Francisco 49ers fans are probably going to burn me to the stake for my Brock Purdy take.
But again, I said I could be wrong.
But anywho, the 49ers are definitely in a challenging situation here with Trey Lance, and we covered that in our last video. But what's the update here? Well, John Lynch actually responded to the rumors in regards to Trey Lance, and I'll tell you how Trey Lance relates to Lamar Jackson in just a sec. John Lynch said, yeah, I think there's a lot of smoke, really. It hasn't been extremely active. And it's not like we've put it out there like that. Hey, we're taking offers for Trey, call this phone number. That's not been the process. People's job in this is to ask questions. Has that happened on a couple of occasions? Sure. It hasn't been that substantive, and like I said, we're focused, as is Trey, on his ability to compete and play an integral role on this team. Last year we needed 5, and so we value every single one of those guys. We're excited about our group, we really are. So why am I bringing all this up? Well, in addition to this, the San Francisco 49ers might be involved in a trade that would make sense for Trey Lance. In this particular instance, it would make sense for both sides, kind of, not really. So for those of you guys that didn't know, and this isn't 100% the basis of my video, Lamar Jackson did his thing last night on Twitter and decided to be as cryptic as humanly possible, tweeting out this gif of SpongeBob SquarePants smirking with a smiley face emoji. I don't know if there's anything more cryptic than having an emoji and then having a gif that represents something completely different, but this is pretty much me interpreting this as something is going down. And there's a couple of theories as to what is going down. The first theory is the fact that the Baltimore Ravens are about to make a trade for DeAndre Hopkins. Now, the crazy part is that Pac-Man Jones, via the Pat McAfee show, said that DeAndre Hopkins could be getting traded to the Chiefs or Bills tonight or tomorrow.
Bills and KC, my sources said, well, something definitely gonna happen tomorrow, tonight or tomorrow.
That's for D-Hop, I do believe,
Yeah.
if we are reading the room right.
But respectfully, I think Pac-Man is entertaining as hell, but I don't really consider Pac-Man to be an insider like Ian Rappaport or Adam Schefter. The second theory is one that, again, kind of far-fetched, makes some sense, would be wild if it does happen. The San Francisco 49ers explored a trade for Lamar Jackson, and the source for this is someone that's quite reputable, someone that you don't typically hear from all that often, but whenever he does speak about these types of things, he says some fairly significant stuff, and that's Dan Patrick. Take a listen.
The Niners have monitored everything, including Lamar Jackson. They've explored that, or at least looked at it. They kicked the tires on that.
This isn't anything new. I guess he just rephrased it in a way to make it a little bit more significant, because John Lynch affirmed this 2 days ago.
you're not doing your job if you don't look into things. A lot of those things, I think you're limited by the way our roster's set up, and what's your motivation? And while those players, there's more than just Lamar. Tremendous players, MVP type players. We really like our guys. We like where we're at. We like our complete roster and how they fit. For multiple reasons, and we're excited about that group. So
in this particular instance, I do think a Trey Lance trade would make some sense. I mean, as part of a package for Lamar Jackson, yeah, I would say that makes sense. The problem is that the San Francisco 49ers don't have any assets in this NFL draft. It would have to be for a future NFL draft if draft picks were involved in any type of Lamar Jackson trade. And this can mean a myriad of things. And the reason why I think this makes sense is the San Francisco 49ers have been aggressive as hell in trying to ensure that they have a high-end quarterback option on the field each and every season since 2021. I mean, hell, going back to 2018, they thought Jimmy Garoppolo was the guy. And to his credit, he was good enough to get them to multiple NFC championships and a Super Bowl. And then when they realized that he hit his ceiling, they decided to go all in for a trade for Trey Lance. When that didn't work out, well, obviously they're in the situation that they're in now. Historically, the 49ers have been very aggressive in trying to get their quarterback of the future. And in this particular instance, it would make some sense. Not a lot, but some. Now, what's even more interesting about this is, obviously, the San Francisco 49ers had to sign an insurance policy at quarterback because Brock Purdy's future is in doubt for this season. And on top of that, you don't necessarily know if Trey Lance could play this season. So San Francisco 49ers running back Christian McCaffrey had this to say about the situation. Sam Darnold is great. He can do everything. He can make any throw, said McCaffrey during a news conference. He's smart. He's able to pick things up quickly and do his job. He doesn't play beyond anything and just does exactly what he's told all the time, and then adds a lot of flair to it too. Bear in mind, these two were teammates in Carolina, and to Sam's defense, he's never really had a good head coach. I mean, he had Adam Gase, and then he had Matt Rule, and he had a brief period during his first 3 weeks with the Carolina Panthers where he actually looked like a good QB. We were memeing the Jets for making that trade originally to draft Zach Wilson. Honestly, trading Sam Darnold and moving on to Zach Wilson as a number 2 overall pick, still a stupid decision if you ask me. And if you guys go all the way back to my content back then, I said point blank that the Jets should have just drafted an additional piece like Penei Sewell to further protect Sam Darnold and let Sam Darnold's rookie scale contract expire before they decided to move on from him altogether. But hindsight's 2020, am I right? The New York Jets decision boils down to one thing. It's whether or not they want to give Sam Darnold a chance to succeed with this new head coaching regimen that features the likes of Bob Saleh. But the number one decision that they have to make is, do they take their quarterback of the future with the number 2 overall pick? Do they decide to draft Penei Sewell, which is a transcendent offensive tackle prospect, but still plays the same position as Mekhi Becton? Now, what I would do and what general managers in NFL history and human nature would do are two completely separate things. What are the odds of this happening? Well, I would say about 25 to 30%. It would be wild, and I've seen way wilder things happen during the NFL draft. Of course, we had the 2021 NFL draft when Aaron Rodgers demanded a trade. Lamar Jackson already demanded a trade. They're still trying to figure out his contract situation, and they do have a very capable player that could hold things over while the Baltimore Ravens want to move on to Trey Lance. Theoretically, if they do pull off this trade, Tyler Huntley was a Pro Bowl alternate for a reason, and he looked pretty freaking good in relief for Lamar Jackson. The one issue about this is, I feel like Lamar Jackson would just be the latest quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers to get injured during the most inconvenient time of the entire season. He's never played a full NFL season throughout his career, and given the fact that coaches from the Kyle Shanahan coaching tree, which mainly Kyle Shanahan and Mike McDaniel, have had some issues with their quarterbacks getting injured recently. I mean, look no further than Tua, Trey Lance, Jimmy Garoppolo, Brock Purdy. Trading for Lamar Jackson is definitely a risk. I wouldn't necessarily be able to sleep at night thinking that my quarterback issues are resolved. At the same time, an offense that is composed of Deebo Samuel, Lamar Jackson, Christian McCaffrey, Trent Williams, George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk is pretty freaking terrifying if you think about it. So I can see this going either way. I can't necessarily form a full roadmap of it happening, but it is a theory that I wanted to put out there in the event that it happened on draft day. I can't wait for the NFL draft, and we'll have you guys covered when DeAndre Hopkins gets traded within the next 24 hours is my personal prediction. So let me know in the comment section down below if you think this could happen. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike. I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.